In this video, we will show you how to replace your outer tie rod end on this Toyota Sienna. This is part of your steering and suspension located behind your front wheel. Let's get into it. Okay friend, let's get started on our job. We're going to have to safely raise and support the front of the vehicle so the wheel's off the ground. After that, to remove the wheel, remove all 5 of your 21mm lug nuts. Now that we have the wheel out of the way, we have a clear view of our outer tie rod end. If you were to follow that towards the inner tie rod end, directly in the center of the two, you're going to find a jam nut. These jam nuts can vary in size. I'll be using an 1 1/16" wrench. Once you do have movement from that, you just want to rest it up against the outer tie rod end. Continue on by following the outer tie rod end to where it connects to the steering knuckle. For this, we're going to remove the locking cotter pin, and then we can also remove that mounting nut. We'll set that aside for recycling. Use a 17mm to remove the mounting nut here. We'll just start that back on a couple threads. Continuing on, we're going to have to dislodge the outer tie rod end. For this, we can go ahead and use a hammer and we'll tap on the steering knuckle, causing vibration, and it should shake it free. At this point, we'll take hold of that outer tie rod end, turn this counterclockwise. We're going to count the amount of turns it takes to remove it, so when we install our brand new one, we'll install it the same amount of turns. 1, 2, and so on. I got 21 turns, yours may vary. There it is, friend. Before you install your new tie rod end, it's important to make sure you pay attention to the threads on your inner tie rod end. If it looks like they're rotted and damaged in any way, you want to go ahead and replace the inner tie rod end. Either way, go ahead and clean down the area, thoroughly inspect it, and we'll continue on with some anti-seize. Just spread that around with our gloved finger. When installing your outer tie rod end, you want to make sure you turn it back in the same amount of turns as it took to remove the original tie rod end. 1, 2, and so on. When you do install it the same amount of threads, you should find that your jam nut is extremely close to the outer tie rod end. Install your outer tie rod end stud into your steering knuckle. With that in place, continue on with your 17mm mounting nut. Start it on, snug it up. Start it in, snug it up, torque it to 36 foot-pounds. Once you have it torqued, the next thing you need to do is pay attention to the orientation of the slots on your mounting nut in comparison to the hole that goes through your tie rod stud. We need to make sure it's aligned so you can put in your locking cotter pin. If it's not, continue tightening the nut until the very next slot is. After that, lock it in with your cotter pin. We'll make sure we pin this over. The next thing you need to do is lock in the outer tie rod end to the inner tie rod end by tightening your jam nut. When tightening the jam nut, you want to make sure you're turning this counterclockwise, but you also should hold on to the tie rod end, preventing that from wanting to turn, which could in turn cause damage to your outer tie rod end. Use a 22 or 7/8 wrench for this. Confirm that this is completely secured in place. One last quick inspection in this area, and we'll continue on with installing our front wheel. Start on all 5 of your 21mm lug nuts, bottom them out. We'll get the wheel safely back down on the ground and torque each of these to 76 foot-pounds. With the wheel safely on the ground, we'll be torquing these in a crisscross manner. Torqued. Okay, friend, we finished the installation of our outer tie rod end. At this point, you want to go ahead and take your vehicle for a road test down to your local alignment shop. Thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.